I assume you're talking about when I represented the country of Qatar for a very short time.
Hold on.
No.
Taking a personal shot at me while swiping at Biden? Very strange and very unprofessional of you. The answer is yes or no, and the answer is yes. You were registered as a lobbyist for Qatar. Is that correct? Yes. Never mind. Don't answer.
Before we get into this topic today, give me a few seconds to talk about something that I think is very important. There is a fundraiser on this video for the National Network of Abortion Funds that I'm asking you to donate to. Whatever amount, any amount, no donation is too small. Every year, Brittany Page and I run a fundraiser during the month of June to recognize the continued fallout of the overturning of Roe v. Wade in 2022. Across the country, women are still in desperate need of essential health care that they are sometimes forced to flee the state in which they live to obtain. That's where the National Network of Abortion Funds comes in. They work with nearly 100 independent abortion funds to ensure women who contact the funds have access to factual evidence-based information, but also these funds provide financial and logistical support to those who need to travel to obtain an abortion. Your donation could help them cover the cost of the procedure for someone desperately needing it, as well as the costs associated with transportation out of state if that's necessary. If you are not in a financial position to give to this fundraiser, please don't feel any pressure to do so. You can simply share this video with a friend, share information about the National Network of Abortion Funds, and try to make some people more aware of these organizations that are doing this critical work. If you can donate, I would encourage you to do so while we are running this fundraiser and trying to generate as much support for this very worthy cause as we can. Thanks. Little piece of advice for Donald Trump appointees, for members of Donald Trump's cabinet, his inner circle of advisors, like Pam Bondi, for instance. If you don't want to be questioned about having represented as a foreign agent the country of Qatar, then don't do it in the first place. And if you don't want to be questioned about trying to cover up your involvement with the terrorist-aligned country of Qatar, by Donald Trump's own admission, then maybe don't cover it up. Because when you appear before a congressional committee, as you did yesterday, and you're asked about it, all of your hand-waving and losing of your bearing and composure and dignity isn't gonna look good. It's gonna be a bad look, as they say, Pam Bondi. Yesterday in a committee, Madeleine Dean, a congresswoman from Pennsylvania, drilled down on this very thing. She was addressing the incompetence of Donald Trump's administration, his lack of leadership, his lack of ethics, his lack of efficacy as a president. And she drilled down on this very thing about Pam Bondi being a registered foreign agent for a terrorist-involved nation. The same nation, coincidentally, wow, what a weird coincidence that the same nation she was registered under the Foreign Agents Registration Act, Qatar, also just gifted Donald Trump personally a $400 million luxury palace in the sky. Weird, right? Very incestuous, if you ask me. Here's Madeleine Dean doing yeoman's work, solid questioning, not allowing this freakish instrument of Donald Trump to get under her skin.
The three hallmarks of this administration are incompetence, corruption, and cruelty. I'm going to focus today on corruption. And in my mind, there are two types of corruption: personal, and then the other I'm going to call public, governmental. Attorney General, have you ever been registered as an agent of a foreign principal under the Foreign Agents Registration Act?
I assume you're talking about when I represented the country of Qatar for a very short time.
Hold on.
No. For anti-human trafficking for the World Cup. Anti-human trafficking for the World Cup.
Attorney
you can't
General,
put words in my mouth.
No.
You want to talk about incompetence? You're the one that said Joe Biden on PBS was competent. You had to retract those words.
Mr.
So don't
Chairman,
talk to me. Don't insult me publicly.
this is so discourteous. This is so outside the committee's guidelines. Taking a personal shot at me while swiping at Biden, very strange and very unprofessional of you. The answer is yes or no, and the answer is yes. You were registered as a lobbyist for Qatar. Is that correct? Yes. Never mind, don't answer. Did you disclose that when you went before for the Senate for confirmation? Yes or no? No, it was not in your documents. The answer is no. President Trump...
This was discussed at my confirmation hearings in detail.
It was discussed, but you failed to bring up the conflict that you had. President Trump recently announced he'd accept that $400 million Qatar airplane because it was just prettier than the one he was flying around in. Is it true that you gave advice that this was legally permissible? Yes or no?
I will not discuss any advice that my Office of Legal Counsel gives to the President of the United States on any matter.
When you spoke before the Senate, you said you would ask for ethical advice. Did you recuse yourself from that issue?
And talking about unprofessional, you say the president wanted a jet because it's pretty?
Excuse
Come
me.
on, this is a Senate, this is a
He said it
congressional
himself.
hearing.
He said it himself.
It's rich, by the way, her to act like she was in charge of looking out for human trafficking while she works for, ally, friend, compatriot of Jeffrey Epstein and an adjudicated sexual predator. You're very concerned about human trafficking while you take an appointment and work obsequiously for Donald Trump, you fucking lapdog, Pam Bondi. Again, if you don't want to be asked the questions, don't do it in the first place, because it is absolutely speaks to your vulnerability as a leader in this country. It speaks to your vulnerability as Attorney General of the United States, Pam Bondi. Don't you think? You don't think it's germane that you represented as a lobbyist the country of Qatar that is now plying Donald Trump with $500 million gifts that he's going to take away with him before he even leaves office? He's going to take ownership of the plane? Seems relevant to me. Seems like it would be relevant to people who care about our national security posture and the vulnerability of our leaders as well, as was what was taking place with Madeleine Dean here. Anyway, I would love to know what you think about this. Let's talk about this in the comments. You can click below. We can disagree. We can disagree agreeably. I bet we can. Anyway, you can also call the voicemail line 714-576-4054. And of course, as always, you can email me daily@dollemore.com. Please consider supporting this work. For $2 a month, you can become a channel member right here on YouTube. Click the join button wherever that is, and you can help contribute to independent media there. You can also go to patreon.com/IDoubtItPodcast. I'm rushing through this because my computer's just turned off everywhere around me because it is so hot in the studio. I think my computer is trying to protect itself from overheating. It is right now like 98 degrees outside in Washington, D.C., and I'm sure with the heat index, it's well over 100 degrees. If you live in the region, stay safe, be cool, both literally and figuratively. And I'll see you next time. Be genuine. Take care of one another.